Welcome to the God Farm, your God Farm. This is Al. At the God Farm, you're going to learn the meaning of your life and your destiny with God for eternity. You're going to learn what's been stopping you from the true meaning of life and how to get past those areas onto your forever journey so you can be face to face with God. This is Al Collins. Let's talk about my book, How to Get into Heaven, Guaranteed. In it, I provide scientific proof through mathematics, the laws of physics, chemistry, and biology, the existence of God, heaven, Jesus, the validity of the Bible, and multiple dimensions. I reveal the true meaning of life, as well as what God says is keeping over 95% of people out of heaven, which includes exposing the false church systems and their heretical doctrines. Like the back of my book says, I rip back the curtain, exposing the poisonous religions and rabid world systems for their global genocide of billions. Escape their death grip to ensure your immortal place in heaven, and partake of the breathtaking treasures awaiting only those who reign with God through the eternities of the eternities. So let's look at some of the uncomfortable truths in my book. Strange yet interesting statistic says more people in the world believe in heaven, 69%, than believe in God or a higher spirit, which is at 60%. Makes one wonder where the God deniers think heaven came from. This 69% of the world that believes in heaven, they think or hope that they're going there. But is belief in heaven good enough to get you in? Well, the answer is no. Doesn't everyone just die and then that's it? No. Can the existence of heaven be proven? Yes. Does just dying let everyone automatically get into heaven? No. Can you just think, feel, say, and act however you want and still get into heaven? No, 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 and no. Does belief in a creator or gods let you get into heaven? No. Does being a member in a certain religion let you get into heaven? No. Does praying a lot let you get into heaven? No. Can someone else pray you into heaven? No. Does hanging out with other heaven-like-minded people in a building somewhere let you get into heaven? No. Will owning or reading some holy book let you get into heaven? No. Will praying to and revering physical things, people, or even praying to the dead let you get into heaven? No, 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 and no. How about donating to or working for charitable causes? Will that let you buy your way into heaven? No and no. How about being a good person? Does that let you get into heaven? No. If you observe special days, special holidays, follow the right religious person, how about wearing the correct clothes, fasting, or eating certain foods? Will any of that let you get into heaven? No. Does being the Pope, or a priest, or a nun, or a pastor, or some religious leader make you special enough to get into heaven? No. No to all of it. The reality is, anyone can make it into heaven, but most won't. The sad truth is, you're not getting into heaven unless you follow the required do's and don'ts for entry. Whether you believe it or not, the reality is each person is made of more than just a physical body. There's also a soul and a spirit. And you will always exist. After your existence on earth, you will exist either in heaven or somewhere else for eternity. Therefore, making sure you'll get into heaven is the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. Nothing comes close to this decision. In my book, I discuss some truths, myths, lies, cons, deceptions, people, religion, the world, philosophies, ideologies, and your decisions that are affecting your guarantee to get into heaven. So there's good news, bad news, and really good news. The good news is, like I said, you're going to live forever. The bad news is it doesn't look good for you at all if you're one of the over 95% of the world's population that isn't getting into heaven. The really good news is those in the less than 5% group will reign with God in heaven through the eternities of the eternities. So what's keeping this 95% from getting into heaven? There's sin, unforgiveness, foolishness, ignorance, greed, pride, glory, arrogance, duplicity, indifference, and fear are all to blame for this genocide of billions. Then there's the butchers of the world, religious institutions, politicians, educational systems, corporations, media groups that sell their insanity to all of us, that will try and buy anything that they peddle so we can obtain the true meaning of life. Wikipedia uses a plethora of words, inquiries, expertise, and perspectives like philosophical, scientific, theological, and metaphysical in an attempt to explain the meaning of life, before it finally says and declares that there's no definitive answer to the meaning of life or reason for being. The experts proclaim the meaning of life is whatever each person says it is for them, but they advise us not to think about it too much, because excessive ponderings of this can be indicative of or leading to an existential crisis, they say. Makes life sound hopelessly random, according to these experts. But does a definitive answer to such an important question exist about, is there such a thing as the true meaning of life? The answer is yes, there is an answer. For many decades, the meaning of life for me meant pursuing, scratching, and clawing for pleasurable activities and wealth. Now, these placebos, as placebos do, they eventually failed, prodding me to study and research history, religion, exercise, business, and wealth in a futile effort to find this holy grail of the true meaning of life. Everyone said they had answers, like make more friends, or do health and wellness my way, or here's an easy way to make money with my new and improved process, or buy this stuff, or live like this, live in this country, do this religion, it's the right one. Looking for more serious answers, I thought maybe doing important projects was the answer to the meaning of life. Doing things that mattered, things that make a difference. Of course, these processes made only shallow, temporary dents into the realities of true peace, joy, love, contentment, and fulfillment. I wasn't alone in this discovery, as the rich and famous of the world, like actors, athletes, musicians, were finding out the same thing I was, that having fun and money and engaging in society's dog and pony shows isn't the meaning of life. These are all carnival attractions with a fee attached to it. Once you get past the curtains, you discover that all of these roads lead to dead ends. The unfortunate ones believe their illusions all their lives. So when I hit 40, I was struck with the "you better wake up, you're not getting into heaven" stick. It wasn't really a stick. It was a knowing through my body, through my core. God was telling me, you're a dead man walking. I'd acquired and done the stuff that society and the world said was important, but as I looked around, I knew I'd been conned. It's not easy to admit to yourself at 40 years old or at any age that you've been a fool. So after God's stick event, I was thinking, okay, so what's God trying to say to me? I have to go back to church now? This was not a pleasant thought at all, because I had grown up in a religious church, doing all of their Sunday school, their worship services, confirmation classes, summer camps, going all over the place until I couldn't take it anymore, and I left when I was 16. They were nice people, but laying it all out there, I thought, if this is what heaven's like, I'm just not interested. I couldn't imagine an eternity of what I was exposed to in just a few hours a week. My mistake was I was equating religion with God. Another major mistake was that I blindly trusted all of these people with my eternal life. I believed their false doctrines on how to get into heaven. Had I died before I found out the truth, I wouldn't have gotten into heaven. I spent decades believing I was okay. With something as important as my eternal life, I shouldn't have been so cavalier about verifying what I was being fed. God shocked me He gave me a supernatural event, which was beyond a vision, of me being stuck in a knee-high, muddy swamp full of thick weeds that towered over my head. Every step I made was a struggle in this experience. I couldn't see how I can get out of this. Finally, over to my right, I saw an elevated grass hill, so I made my way over to it. When I got onto the grass, I went up the hill to the top, where there was a straight paved road in both directions. The swamp was as far as I could see on either side of this road. So I wondered, what is this? A voice spoke to me and said, the swamp is the church. Stay out of the swamp. Stay on the straight road. For quite a while, I didn't understand why did God want me to stay out of church? I thought I must have heard him wrong. Why would God call church a swamp? It didn't take long to put two and two together to find out what happens when you go into and stay in that kind of a swamp. You can read 2 Peter 2, where God describes swift destruction on swamp leaders, which is certainly justified for these kind that lead billions to their eternal deaths. The swamp you're in really doesn't matter. The results are all the same: ultimate death. And when I say ultimate death, I don't mean physical death, as all the wealth and exercise and pills and doctors in the world can maybe delay your physical death if a bus doesn't stomp on you later on today first. What I mean is what's called your second death. After physical death, there's what I call a comeuppance, either a reward or a punishment. And I don't mean hell. It's worse than that. There's an abundance of evidence available to discern reality from fiction when it comes to our existence. Truth isn't found in unscientific and unreasonable theories, ideologies, speculations, and opinions. Skeptics and scoffers who laugh at, ignore, and even hate heretical, hypocritical, even violent religions are missing the true picture. Humanity's religions are failures. They aren't God. Consider yourself fortunate if you're not indoctrinated by some religious faction. However, being trapped in other irrational, illogical, dead-end chains of humanism and atheism and self-idealization is still imprisonment. Don't make the foolish mistake I made, believing that religion's concocted doctrines and its carnal leaders represent God. What's in store for you now and in heaven is beyond what you can imagine. We see in 1 Corinthians 2:9, it says, "But on the contrary, as the scripture says, what eye has not seen and ear has not heard, and has not entered into the heart of man all that God has prepared, made, and keeps ready for those who love him, who hold him in affectional reverence, promptly obeying him and gratefully recognizing the benefits he has bestowed. Understand, you're a special treasure of vital importance to God. Don't ever let anyone ever tell you anything different. When I finally found the true meaning of life, I thought, why is the world and its governments and religious systems ignorantly and deliberately killing billions, including themselves, with their lethal array of smoke and mirrors? I also wonder, why are billions blindly believing the obvious death that these entities are shoveling out there? And then I remembered, oh yeah, they suckered me in too. And who mentions the treasure? Seems like a given to tell everyone about the treasures of heaven and of God that are there for us. Even still, people are just so mesmerized by this glittery junk treasures the world has to offer. This is why each one of us needs to carefully examine what we get ourselves into, and especially in this case as it pertains to our eternity. So it's up to you. For all of you who think that you're smarter than God, and so you're just going to carry on living the way you want, believing whatever religion or philosophy or ideology that you want, God says in Proverbs 1, verses 32 to 33, "For the foolish will be killed by their turning away. The trust that fools put in themselves will destroy them. But he who listens to me will live free from danger, and he will rest easy from the fear of what is sinful." I hope you heed God's words as far as getting into heaven, guaranteed, because that's up to you. So thank you for watching and listening in. Please press the like button and subscribe to this channel for more great stuff, and also to help others get into heaven too, because there's a lot of people out there that are deceived all over the world. And head on over to thegodfarm.com if you want to get more advanced teachings to help you in developing your destiny with God. God bless.
In this book, I provide scientific proof through mathematics, the laws of physics, chemistry, and biology, the existence of God, heaven, Jesus, the validity of the Bible, and multiple dimensions. It will open your eyes and change the way you see the world. Available at thegodfarm.com or Amazon.